It's time to pay for your sins.
From gorilla bodies and adorable tigers to flaming skulls and witchcraft, heroes come in all shapes and sizes, and they also add to throw in a bit of change and transformations into the mix to keep things interesting. Of course, transformations aren't always for the best, and some lose their mind in the process, but hey, it does keep the story alive. And we all know that the TV series heroes don't always go hand in hand with their movie counterparts, so sometimes things can get a little bit confusing. So here we are to clear your confusions and give you the top 10 TV transformations. The gritty take on the classic Teen Titans sure had fans divided, with some loving the new dark twist, while others thought it completely ruined the Teen Titans vibe. Whatever the case may be, Trigon probably takes the award for the most manipulative father of the year. Trigon's your average evil dude with an agenda to take over the world, except that he plans to do this by breaking his daughter's heart. According to the comics, Trigon had sired many children before Raven or Rachel, but Rachel proves to be the most promising. The season plays with the saying, "It's about the wolf you feed," where the characters try their best to wield the good in them while Trigon is hell-bent on feeding the darkness inside everyone. Eventually, he breaks her heart, plunges his hand in, and pulls her heart out, manifesting his true demonic form in the process. Am I the only one who got Hellboy vibes here, yeah? Trigon puts the cherry on top of his transformation by popping a magical crystal into her forehead that completed his like father, like daughter vision.
That's my girl. You are a family now.
On the scale of superhero sizes, 1 being the scrawny ones like Spider-Man and Flash, and 10 being the buffy ones like Aquaman and Superman, Luthor is a solid 150. I mean, this guy's inhumanly disproportionate, not to mention huge. Given how clumsy Luthor is with his hunky self, it made me wonder why he's not used to super strength and size yet. I mean, they were born with superpowers and trained to use them properly. Do you ever see Superman knocking his head on a ceiling fan? Yes, those adopted kids born out of non-existent pregnancies were anything but normal. As the story goes, Luthor gets fatally injured while on a solo mission. In a desperate attempt to save his golden child, Hargreaves pumps him up with an experimental serum that turns Luthor into a strange man-gorilla mashup. As freaky as it is, it's still better than the comic alternative of Luthor's head being sewn onto a giant gorilla.
Jim Gordon.
What do you get when you cross a tortured mercenary with a cold and calculating daughter of a cult leader backed by a crazy scientist? That probably sums up Bane's transformation. Bane, like most characters in the Gotham series, has a backstory completely different from the movies. Bane, or Eduardo Dorrance, is actually an old military friend of Jim Gordon. As is usual with all those old friends on two sides of good and bad, the two fight and Eduardo is impaled. Enter the beautiful and psychotic Nissa Al Ghul. At first, it seems as if she genuinely cares about Eduardo, but of course, she's just using him to achieve her evil plans. Classic. Fast forward a few hours and Eduardo's a super enhanced soldier. The funny thing about his transformation into Bane is that through everything, he remains the model soldier carrying out his mission to the dot, and he really believes it when he says that he can get rid of monsters by being one. In his twisted mind, he thinks he's on the right side of things.
The world is full of monsters. The only way to defeat them is to become one yourself.
Whatever was inside him, he passed it into me.
Remember that quirky old movie that showed the world what Nicolas Cage looks like when his skull was set on fire? Well, thankfully, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. took that vengeful spirit out of Cage and put it in the less awkward Robbie Reyes. When Robbie was sent flying out of the car, all he wanted to do was keep his brother safe and maybe take revenge on the guys that attacked them. The spirit of vengeance smelled blood in the water and came to the rescue like the knight in blazing leather. The familiar hellfire blazing and skull revealing turns Robbie into the Ghost Rider, and he goes off to rip his attackers to shreds, quite literally given the mess he's made. Aside from the fiery change in looks, the transformation twists Robbie up. Yeah, he was a Daredevil kid who loved racing on a school night, but he was also a kind and caring young man. And after this transformation, well, to put it mildly, he became one of those highly combustible people, literally and figuratively, with anger, or rather vengeance issues. I guess you can never really know just how dark and twisted you are until you're set free by customized laughing gas. In the beginning, Jeremiah had none of his twin brother Jerome's psychotic tendencies. Well, or so it seemed. He was just a traumatized little boy trying to hide from his unhinged brother. But a few twists and turns later, and it turns out that Jeremiah was just as calculating and cold as his twin brother. Even as a child, Jeremiah was deceiving and self-centered. The only thing the gas seems to have done was to release him from his fear and timid ways and bring out some repressed instabilities. Even he himself claims that the gas did nothing to him. Jerome proved to be more intelligent and methodical than his brother. Despite the insanity-induced transformations, Jeremiah still wholeheartedly loathed his brother and was obsessed with becoming better than him. And his plans for Gotham seemed to be better thought out as well, since while Jerome wanted destruction for the sake of it, Jeremiah wanted to destroy the city to build something better.
Burn it down, brother. Burn it all down.
Ever wondered what a tiger stealing video games would look like? Well, the Titans give you a sneak peek at that and some more adorable tiger vibes. Beast Boy is no Richard Parker, but he sure knows how to keep someone company. Throughout the series, he becomes a sort of anchor to Rachel, going so far as to snap her out of demonic possession. In the comics, he's the person who finally shows Raven to see the good in her, but unlike in the comics where Beast Boy can transform into any animal, in Titans, he can only turn into a tiger, probably because unlike comics, shows do have CGI budgets to handle. As everyone agreed, Beast Boy was a much-needed addition to an otherwise needlessly dark show. His goofy sense of humor combined with his genuine good heart creates a character that's hard not to fall in love with. Despite the hair-raising, bone-crunching noises during his transformation, it doesn't seem to cause him any pain. If anything else, he enjoys the terror and confusion his skin-changing brings.
What you told me over the radio that night. Not everyone deserves a happy ending.
Lawyer by day, vigilante by night, and a devout Christian 24/7. Matt Murdock's transformation into the Daredevil is all about justice with a generous dash of superhuman hearing. I swear, chemicals in comics will do just about anything except killing someone. In Matt's case, radioactive chemicals from a car during an accident led him to lose his sight, but heightened his other abilities. After being trained by another blind old man who couldn't decide whether he liked Matt or not, Matt decides that the best way to deal out justice was to be a lawyer. I mean, the law is blind after all, isn't it? Doesn't take long for him to realize that lawyers don't always clear the path for justice. Matt soon realizes that the system doesn't work and that he needs to take matters into his own hands. His transformation into the vigilante Daredevil is a strong representation of his need to see the right thing being done. Matt's not the kind of guy who can just sit by and turn a blind eye to all the madness raving in Hell's Kitchen. Another good guy gone bad, Victor Fries was one of the smartest people in Gotham right before he became the coolest person in Gotham, literally. Victor was a somewhat socially awkward scientist and one of the best cryogenics engineers in Gotham City. The only close connection he had was with his wife Nora, who falls terminally ill, and that's when things start getting dark for Victor. In his desperation, he becomes a ruthless killer, freezing people alive, experimenting, and trying to reanimate the dead. One-track minded to a freaky level, Victor's a big believer of the ends justifying the means. It doesn't matter who died if it meant saving his wife. So it's not surprising that he goes completely off his rails when his wife dies. And when suicide doesn't bring him any peace, he turns to homicide. His physical transformation, combined with his wife's death made worse by his failed suicide, pushes him off the edge. Unlike Victor, who tried to justify his killings by saving his wife's life, Mr. Freeze doesn't care who died or for what reason. No! Coming in second is the utterly confusing twists and turns from the 2021 WandaVision. As Season 1 ended on March the 5th, it transformed Wanda into the full-fledged Scarlet Witch. But according to the megalomaniac witch Agatha, Wanda didn't get her powers from the Mind Stone, but was actually born a witch, is destined to transform into the Scarlet Witch. That's also when we realized that after all the pain, and after losing every person she loved, Wanda's grief took over her to place her in the one safe and happy place from her memories. When the series kicked off, it seemed as if Wanda was just manipulating everyone and everything to make herself a happy place. But towards the end, it's clear this was years and years of loss and pain combined with her manifesting powers taking a toll on her. As Wanda transforms and takes the Scarlet Witch mantle, she also learns to let go of her pain and embrace her new life.
You don't know what you've done.
Topping off our list today is the fan-favorite speedster of the DC universe, the Flash. Before being struck by particle accelerator-induced explosion-infused lightning, Barry was your average kid with a troubled past. Since his dad was framed for his mum's murder, he joined the Central City Police Department, hoping he could get closer to solving his dad's case. There are two things Barry hates: false convictions and bullies. Before the lightning stuff, he had the brains to deal with the former, at least in most cases, but the scrawny, socially awkward kid could barely have an eye-to-eye conversation, let alone punch a bully. But after being struck by lightning and becoming the neighborhood superhero, he gets a bit more confidence, even going so far as to mentor some of the younger meta-humans he comes across. His awkwardness doesn't help with his double lives, but it does keep people from getting suspicious. Weird kid acting weird? What's new? But all in all, Barry's inherently big heart helps him with his superhero transformation, since being the savior comes naturally to him. And that was the top 10 superhero TV transformations. As hard as it is to find a moral of stories with so many twists, I'm guessing the key takeaways are to stay away from your dad if he happens to be a demon lord, and try not to end up becoming the psychotic twin you've been avoiding. Which one of these transformations is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on the TV Regent.